Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a one sheet 6x6 gatefold card. They are made from one sheet of 6x6 paper, although you may recognize this one is a 12x12, but of course if you cut a piece of 12x12 in half, you're going to get 4 6x6s. And you'll see when I bring in the ingredients, that's exactly what this was. It was a piece of 12x12 and I cut it in half. But just so you can see, this one was made using Thoughtful Journey and the greeting came from the wild ferns. This one, the friend and the paper are both from Full of Life, and the hay, because I felt it went with the friend and the style of the paper, is a way old paper pumpkin stamp, but that's why we hang on to them. So that's just two examples of a different kind, a different style and colors that you can do. Just because it's a technique, it doesn't mean you have to stick with what is given. And this is the one we're going to make today. So like I say, it's a piece of 6x6 designer series paper that normally you would chop the bottom off, because it's going to fit onto a regular piece of cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which fits nicely into a regular envelope. But rather than cut a piece 6 inches, I just cut it down to 5 1/4, so it's already the right size. So it was 5 1/4 by 12, chopped it in half. And the other thing you might notice is, which I would recommend, is try and find a designer series paper that has a pattern on one side but is a little bit more plain. You don't want your colors to compete too hard. I know this isn't exactly plain, but it's not too busy and it doesn't compete with the inside of the card. So without further ado, let me get started and I'll show you how we make this one. So you need the card base, which as I said is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You then need the designer series paper, 6x6, trimmed to 5 1/4 by 6, and then it's scored at 2 inches. So we'll just fold that over and give it a good crease. And that can just go on as the card front. The possibilities of this is just endless. It's such a quick and easy card. It's actually, look at me already planning. We're hardly out of spring. It would make a great Christmas card because you could order a boatload of designer series Christmas paper and put it onto like a red or a green background. But anyway, without getting ahead of myself, so it's 5 1/4, it's scored at 2, which leaves 4, which mats on just nicely as the size you would need. The pieces are 2 by 3 1/2. This one is a layer, so it's 2 1/8 by 3 5/8. So you can either make your mat go up a size or you can just cut it down a size. Either way, unfortunately, you're going to get an 1/8 in there. So let me just go ahead and stick this onto its mat. I know the rule is usually that you stamp first, so let's keep our fingers crossed that I'm not going to make any boo-boos. So again, I'm using one of the old paper pumpkin cards that just says, for one of a kind friend. So there we go, that's the greeting on. And I'm not going to stamp a design on this one. I'm actually going to use a fussy cut flower. Now, the designer series paper, it comes with all sorts of patterns, but this sheet is wonderful because you can actually fussy cut out all of these. Quite a lot of the designer series paper that Stampin' Up are doing now have a sheet that is fussy cuttable. You can get some nice images out of that. So I just took a sheet, fussy cutted quite a few of them out, and this is one of those. Now, the nice thing about designer series paper is that it has 2 sides. And the worst thing about designer series paper is that it's got 2 sides, and it's so hard sometimes to choose. So the nice thing about this style of card is you get to highlight both sides at once on the same card. So I just took a couple of dimensionals on the back of there, and I think that's really quite nice. So using our usual ZZ fold technique, so we get it straight, you know, we fold it over so you can see where you can put adhesive up to, and this side needs to be left. So I'll just quickly run some adhesive over on the left hand side and then center that up. So now we know when we open it, there's not going to be any adhesive here. And the best way to line up the inside, I find, is to put it in place. And we know it's a little bit smaller than the front. So put the adhesive on, line it up where you can see it would fit, and then close the card onto it. And then you know when you open it that there's not going to be any of this peeking out. It's not going to be too far over. It's literally going to be layered equally underneath. So that's it. How quick and easy is that? You get both sides of the designer series paper. That just makes me happy. And then we've got all these other designs, and possibilities are limitless, aren't they, really? If you've got any questions or comments, pop them in the description box below. If you want to find out the directions and the dimensions, as always, they'll be on my blog. If you haven't done so already, I would encourage you, and smile nicely at you if my face was in the shot, to subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Likes always go down well. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.